So here we're standing in front of a piece called Graphitizer 3. It's a machine that creates graffiti, and it's work from an artist from Italy, Daniel Berrio. So Daniel Berrio is a very experienced graffiti artist. He will do you entire walls, beautiful with colors, very large shapes, very elaborate. And he's also, it turns out, a very good programmer. He's worked in the game industry for a few years ago in Italy, back in Italy. More recently, he did a master's in art degree in the Netherlands. And one of the outcomes is this piece here. So he's crossing software together with machines, which you can think of as a particular type of robots. We call these Cartesian robots. They work along X, Y, and Z axis in 3 dimensions. And this robot is carrying a pen, so it's sort of an embodiment of the arm of Daniel. And Daniel is interested in reproducing his style in algorithmic way. And this provides a way to both understand perhaps better the technique of creating such art, and as well gives Daniel a new space to explore to extend the possibilities in his art. So then he will be basically inspired by these systems and perhaps modify his own way of creating graffiti in the future.
So this piece is called Copie non conforme by the French artist Cécile Babiole. And what she has done is to take a school punishment phrase, je ne dois pas copier, I should not copy. If you're punished in school, you have to write it line after line. And she's reproduced it using technologies of 3D printing. So the first line in the back is a perfect rendition of the phrase, 3D printed letter by letter. But what she does is a process that we'll see with 2 3D printers and a scanner, that she scans then with a 3D scanner each letter and then prints the scan again. So there's a generational loss, as if you're copying a cassette tape, one generation after another. Each generation degrades as it's printed and scanned, printed and scanned. And as we go generation after generation towards the front, the letters degrade and start to become more blob-like. So this is a reflection not just on school punishment and on copying, but copying as digital piracy, etc., and also the imperfections of digital, that a copy is not exactly the same as the original.
So this is a piece called in French Paul Neuf le Vaniteux. It's an exploration of portraiture and vanity, human vanity. It's work by a French artist, Patrick Tresset, who moved to England about 20 years ago and came to London, and in particular to Goldsmith in the last decade to do work here. And this is one of the outcome of his work at Goldsmith, his art practice, which is sketch-based face portraiture. And again, it's an example of an artist who's keen on simulating and creating systems that help understand how do you go about creating an art piece of a certain stylistic signature. So in this case, he's really building software and robotics that represent a version of himself. So this allows him, again, to not only explore his own way of creating art, but also potentially gives him the possibility to explore new ways of where to go next with a particular style. It's often the case for an artist that after a while you get stuck in a particular stylistic signature, and this could be a way to get out of that trap. The system is very sophisticated and has received a lot of attention internationally. In recent years, it's been on exhibit all around the world. There's some YouTube videos that have had millions of hits, so it's a very popular type of work. The future of this kind of work is to bring in more sophisticated, what we call AI in the computer science jargon, that is better simulation of the intelligence that the artist is using. In this particular case, you see a camera moving around, and that's represent the eye of the artist. The camera is looking both at the subject and at the piece, and in the future, Patrick would like to have more sophisticated way that the piece is actually influencing what is drawn next by the robot. So this is a piece by John McCormack, also based in Australia, as Ernest Edmonds and Paul Brown. So we have a room here with 3 Australian artists. John McCormack is from a more recent generation. I started to have production in the 90s, I believe. And he's a bit like William Latham, crossing the bridge with nature, biology, evolutionary ideas. So in his work, you often see ideas from, in particular, evolution theory. Here we have a piece about drawing, but each line is actually an entity. You can think of it perhaps as an ant that goes on a sheet of paper and leaves some trace. He calls these agents. Each agent has to interact with its environment, and the environment is both the actual space that you can explore and your neighbors, your other agents, which will limit where can you go and where can you leave a trace of ink. So each piece will have its own signature. The actual type of movements is designed by the artist, however. So you can always see in the end result the choices made by the original programmer or artist, in this case John. John is also very famous for other types of work which are an exploration of same ideas but in 3D. So if you're interested, for example, the piece Eden is really beautiful.
So this is a piece called The Drawing Machine by Damien Borovic, who is a student in our Computational Studio Arts program here at Goldsmiths. Damien has created a 2D plotter set of gears, a machine that plots and draws these geometric forms. So there's a small circuit here called an Arduino that's sending commands to the motors to go X and Y and drawing different geometric forms that we see then the results framed here in the gallery. So each piece, a slight variation on the software, the parameters given to the software generate strikingly different, similar but different images.